welcome to a new episode of the Gazette's weekly Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette, and I'm joined by my regular partners here, former Canadiens teammates and 1986 Stanley Cup champions, Rick Green and Chris Nilan. Guys, another exciting finish to a Canadiens game Tuesday night at the Bell Center. Cole Caulfield, who else, scoring the winning goal with 15 seconds left on the clock for a 4-3 victory over the Minnesota Wild. Rick, after the game, head coach Marty St. Louis said his team was excellent 5-on-5 and might have been their best game of the season at 5-on-5. What did you like about the way the Canadiens played against the Wild?
When you look at the statistics of shots, 33-19, excuse me, tells you that they obviously have possession of the puck more often than the other team does, and they just dominated in so many areas, and they battled. What I really liked about their overall game is their ability to play into the neutral zone, to really plug up that zone, to not allow Minnesota a lot of time and space to enter the puck. And that can be only done when they're disciplined with their third man and they're in sync. They got a lot of guys doing a lot of things well, and they're working, they're committed, and they're determined to win each and every game, and it's enjoyable to watch.
Knuckles, you've been very vocal on previous podcasts, your concerns about their play in the defensive end. Do you see that improving?
Yeah, it has improved. It's a work in progress. Listen, they got to win those close games, those 2-1 games. Like recently, they were up 2-1 with 8 minutes to play and ended up losing the game, right? And that's okay, but when you learn to win those close games, like they did last night, yeah, they scored with 15 seconds left. That's awesome. But giving up 19 shots, if you have a lot more games like that where you're giving up 19 shots, you're going to be in pretty good goddamn shape. So there has been improvement. There's no question. I think, listen, when you see that consistency night in and night out, I think that's a telltale sign. And sure, you're going to have your off nights. There's no question. But I think seeing that consistency from this team, and we've seen some of that lately, more often than not when you look at their past couple of years. But a lot of signs of improvement. I love the way this team, they're exciting to watch. They have exciting players. Man, it's what a difference. It's awesome to see. Guys are starting to come into their own.
And they did that against a good Minnesota Wild. They're a good team. And I think Cole Caulfield and Lane Hutson might have had a little added motivation because the Minnesota Wild GM is also the GM of Team USA, who didn't pick either of them for the Olympic team. Knuckles, I know you're very vocal about NHL refereeing. That game, that phantom tripping call on Lane Hutson when he got called for tripping Marcus Foligno after he wasn't even touch him. Foligno tripped and fell by himself. Marty St. Louis was losing it on the bench, understandably. What do you think when you see a call?
Yeah, it's crazy. Hee-haw is what I think. But again, you can't guess. That don't tell me you saw it happen. You saw the guy go down, you saw someone close to him, and you guessed. And that could have cost his team in a big way last night. And thank God it went the Habs' way. They stuck with it, but boy, that's enough to really piss you off. And that, if this is last year, right? Look how close it was, playoffs. They got in the last day of the season. Can you imagine if a call like that screws a team? So, yeah, it's not good. And again, ask Gary Bettman about it, and he'll tell you we got the best referees.
Best referees in the world.
Yeah.
Best referees in the world. I mean, amazing. All 4 guys miss it. You figured they'd communicate together, and then they have video review, Rick, for 5-10 minutes to see if a guy was a hair offside, but they can't do a video review for that. You see in the NFL a lot of times they'll call down the refs and say, not a penalty. They pick up the flag and they move on. I think the NHL needs to come to that. But also, we saw the referee go to the penalty box and it looked like he was apologizing to Hutson. Do you ever remember seeing that before?
Never, because it really, what it tells you is a sign of weakness, aside from a missed call. And I think the league should really have a look at, finding ways to correct that type of problem that does happen. It's not the first time. And it's so critical now in these games that these certain situations could end up costing you a playoff spot. And when it's questionable, they should be allowed to have a quick review and then, make the right call, because obviously when you see something like that, as bad as that was, and them allow it to stand and not be able to go back and correct it is unacceptable.
Well, I imagine the refs looked up at the giant screen and saw that they missed it, which would be why I'd go and apologize. But as you mentioned, Knuckles, you can't fix a problem if you don't admit you have one. And Gary Bettman keeps saying the NHL refs are the best in the in the world. We saw Kirk. Sorry, go ahead, Knuckles.
Yeah, I just, with the parity and the way things are so close, point wise, like, come on, could really hurt a team and something like that. Listen, they're never going to be perfect. I get it, but come on, that is major league guesswork. There, it's not even close to. I just saw a guy fall, so something must have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of video replay. It's so constant on content. But if you're going to review, like I said, for a hair offside, you got to be able to review for that. Knuckles, last night also, Kirby Dach back in the lineup for the first time in 2 months after fracturing his right foot, on a line with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. You've come back from injuries before. It can't be easy being out that long. What did you think about the way Kirby played last night?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, come on. That's so difficult. Believe me, I've been there coming back from injury. Not a lot of fun. He's had 2 major knee surgeries. This, at least, and listen, maybe this is a way to heal the knee up a little more. With that cracked bone in his foot. Maybe this could be a blessing for him in disguise. We don't know. But yeah, it's good to see him back. It's good to see the coach put him with guys that can play. Not that, sticking him on a 4th line or something and say, go out there and get your legs back. Go out, you're playing with 2 great players. So, it's going to be slow. Look, Gooley comes back. It's going to take time when you come back from injury. You got the adrenaline. You want to have input. You want your teammates to say, way to go, how to go. But you know what? You're struggling up here, and, I got to battle back. I don't feel right. My timing's not quite there. So it's going to take a few games, but I just want to see this kid do well. He's a great kid, and, talk about I'm very unfortunate the way these things have happened to him. And I feel so bad for him. I hope he goes on and he can come back and really help this team in the long run here.
Yeah, still a young kid. Rick, his 25th birthday on Wednesday. Putting him with Suzuki and Caulfield, I think they want to see if he can fill that role ahead of the March 6th trade deadline. And if he can't, maybe they need to try and find another big body. But what do you think of his game, Rick? And do you think this is his last season of his contract? Is this almost a last chance for Kirby Dach with the Canadiens?
Well, what time will tell, but I'm happy that, he's been given an opportunity to play on the first line. To give him the opportunity to play on the wing maybe gives him a little more freedom than the center position. But look he missed 34 games. This is not a quick fix. This is not a situation where the guy's going to all of a sudden flip the switch and he's going to get his A game back. If he's healthy, he's feeling good, he's going to have to get into the groove, get the feel at this point, and, try and get back to what he does best. And I think everybody's pulling for him. He's well liked. And Martin St. Louis, I think, is giving him a real good vote of confidence by putting him up there on the first line and giving him every chance to show what he can do. And hopefully that he'll stay healthy and he'll do his part in contributing. But he will get to the net. He will get in the corner. He's a big body, and he has to remember he has to use that each and every night in order for them to complement those other 2 guys that are going to do a lot of the finesse work.
Well, Knuckles, we got Phillip Danault back with the Canadiens, his second stint. I asked him the other day if there's one word he could use to describe being back, and he said pride. So much pride in being back in a Canadian sweater after being with LA. He's won a lot of big face-offs since he's came here, leading to goals. Finally got his first goal against Minnesota, the first goal of the season. He didn't score any goals in LA either. What do you thought about how he's helped this team and how he's played since he's come in?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. You're coming in, he knows some of the guys, but it's adjustment. Yeah, big coming back. I remember coming back. I mean, it was my last year when I came back, but it felt great to be back with the jersey on. But it was all quite a few new faces. I knew a couple, Cobb was there, my old centerman. It felt a little odd. And it took me a little bit to get going, but I knew I was near the end. He still has some hockey left in him, and to come back here and provide that leadership, also, the PK, big thing for him, right? And for this team.
Won some big faceoffs on the PK against the Wild.
So that's huge for this team. And I loved Danault since he got here. I was not happy when he left for the organization, but who knows? Maybe he's getting here at the right time.
Rick, a forward you would trust, I think, right?
Yeah, you got to love the way There's always a few of them. I won't say a lot, but there's a few that I would trust. But Danault would fit that category. He's a competitive kid, 57%, almost 57% in the faceoff circle. A kind of guy that you need down the stretch, and a guy that's going to deliver each and every night. And character, hardworking, penalty killer, block shots, do everything he can possibly do to help the team, and a quality kid that does nothing but improve the ability for the team to have success down the stretch.
Well, another veteran guy, Knuckles, Brendan Gallagher. St. Louis had him the last couple of games on a line with Danault and Josh Anderson, a veteran line. Danault was telling me, he says they're trying to sort of be an energy line as opposed to a checking line. Danault said the three of them also met before the game against the Wild and spoke about trying to create more offense and get the spots where they can create more offense. Been a tough season for Brendan Gallagher. Do you see him sticking in the lineup with this line, Knuckles, or once healthy guys come back, is it going to be Marty's going to have some tough choices?
Yeah,
Marty spoke about that after the game last night. He said they're conversations nobody wants to have, but when you're in a leadership position, those are conversations you have to have.
Yeah, he's gonna have to make decisions. That's what he's paid to do. Put the best possible lineup there he can. Assess what's going on. Guys have to earn their way, and certainly Brendan has earned his way with his organization. But there comes a time in everybody's career where Father Time catches up. The nightly physical beatings that your body takes, it catches up with you. And again, I want to see this kid stay in. I don't care. I'm going to find a way to keep him in the lineup. I absolutely love him. He's a leader. He's never caused a problem here. Always, just grit, determination. When this team didn't have a whole lot of it, quite frankly. And, I always find it's sad when a guy gets to that point in his career, because there are tough decisions for the coach to make, and if he does, then listen, I'm sure he will keep his head high, and listen, somebody always gonna get hurt, and if he does happen to have to sit out for a little bit, I'm sure something will open up for him again. He'll get another shot. But
Rick, he's also got an A on his sweater, a leader on that team. You've been in the locker room as a player and as an assistant coach with the coaching staff, with a guy like Gallagher. What's the discussion like as a head coach, getting influence from his assistants, the GM? How does it work when it comes to the possibility of sitting out a veteran guy like Gallagher?
Yeah, it's a tough conversation that will be had, and everybody knows Brendan Gallagher. And what he does and what he brings, it's contagious. When he's in the lineup, a lot of guys feed off of him. And, the reality is they have a number of bodies now, and there's going to be some guys that are going to have to sit. And Martin St. Louis has a tough job to do to try and decide what is the best interest of his group to find a way to perform the best they can perform. So, Brendan Gallagher, you're never going to lose with him, but it's going to be interesting to see moving forward what they want to do with him as the as the season drags on.
Yeah, I think the toughest decision is going to be after the season. He's got one more year left on that contract with a $6.5 million salary cap hit. A player who was out of the lineup, Knuckles, against the Wild, and you might be president of his fan club, Arbor Jacki. He had played 17 games in a row. They sat him in favor of Jaden Struble after the game. Marty St. Louis said it was a case, Struble hadn't played and trying to keep guys fresh. What did you think when you found out Jacki wasn't in the lineup?
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be between those two guys from here on out to down the stretch. Listen, they've been games where Abba's really been consistent and been good, and then there's been games where he's struggled at times. So, I think it's a way a coach trying to keep these guys fresh and keep them on their toes. And Strubal's going to have to stay on top of his game while he's in there. And if he slips a little, maybe he's comes out and Abba goes back in. Yeah, see, again, the coach makes those decisions, and again, Abba's always an easy one to take out.
Well, I was talking with Struble also, Knuckles, and said, they're good friends, him and Arbor. I was like, how do you balance your friendship with battling each other for a job? And he said, it is what it is, one of the players' favorite sayings. But were you ever in a situation like that, Knuckles? Do you remember other teammates? And what must that be like?
Well, yeah, when I was, listen, John Corder came in, honestly, I didn't want the help. I was fine with doing it. I didn't need somebody else. I had plenty of teammates. My teammates would have been there for me if I needed them, and they were at times. And John came in. And then when I was in Boston, certainly, I was the only guy really in New York. There was a couple guys that would be there for me, 2 teammates. I get that. But Boston maybe a little more near the end. They had Byers and Stewart came in. And I got along great with Lyndon. I didn't care, like this kid Stewart, I really didn't know that much. And I was struggling with stuff in my own head, retirement and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not easy, but your teammates. The way you do the best you can and support each other. And that's all you can do.
I know, Rick, you've been a big supporter of Arbor also. What have you liked about his game recently?
Well, I think that he's tried to eliminate some of the high-risk plays that got him in trouble before. And, with the situation that they have between him and Struble, it's kind of a healthy situation. And the way that they're handling both of them, I think, is really important, that they know you can't let one of the guys sit for an extended period. You have to get them back in the lineup in order for them to be the best they can be. And, this is not a bad situation from the standpoint they're able to do that with guys that can come in when they do make changes and contribute in a positive way. So 2 character guys, 2 guys that you're never really going to get hurt by having them in the lineup. They're going to stand up for their teammates. And, Arbor Jack guy, again, with time, build his confidence and give him opportunity to develop. And I think that's the way they're going to handle him moving forward.
Caden Gooley back also, Rick. We'll stick with you, the former defenseman. Tough coming. He's been out since mid-October. Only played 5 games before being injured. What have you liked about him coming back, and how difficult is that coming back?
I mean, he's handled it really well, and I think it's important for him to realize, and I think he has, that he doesn't want to come in and try and do too much. Simplify his game, take care of business back there, make simple plays, be solid positionally, and, just do everything that gave you success before without going beyond what your capabilities are. And I think that it's allowed him to be contributing in a very positive way, because he is playing within his capabilities without getting himself in trouble. And I think down the stretch here, it's going to be critical for those guys to understand defense first is going to have to be part of their mindset, and to try and eliminate high gamble plays is not where they want to go. And if they keep that in mind, and Gooley keeps that in mind, that he's had success and doing some good things well, keep doing them, because that's what it's all about, especially being, a defenseman that is critical part of your hockey team.
Knuckles, Alexandre Texier out of the lineup against the Wild. He's got a lower body injury. They say he's day-to-day. Kirby Dach taking his spot on that number 1 line. Kent Hughes got Texier for nothing. Free agent. Signed him for a 1-year, $1 million contract. Give him a 2-year contract extension recently. 2 years, $5 million. Was that a smart move? And how do you see him fitting in?
That remains to be seen. Listen, he fit in just fine with those 2 guys. Come on. He had a hell of a month there coming in here and putting up some points. And this coach, listen, the kid's talented. He got some hands. He's smooth. He's really fit in well and put some points on the board. I mean, you can't, it's kind of nice when, all the other guys on that team see that this guy comes in and does what he does, and he gets rewarded. It's like, you come here and you got something to offer, then you got opportunity here to grow and also, earn a buck or two, right? So that's a good thing. I like him. We'll see. To me, the value in players you really see when it comes to playoff time. Playoff time is when it really comes out. And, we had a guy that was unbelievable, a couple guys, a lot of guys, but the guys that stood out to me, obviously Patrick come playoff time, Claude Lemieux missed the playoff. He's unbelievable. The kid got it done. So those are the times I want to see guys step up to the plate.
Yeah, the $2.5 million salary cap hit for the next 2 years for Texas isn't a lot, especially with the salary cap jumping the way it's going to be jumping over the next couple of years, Rick. It's a low. They probably want to sign him before his value might go up if he keeps playing the way he has. But what have you liked about it? Marty St. Louis talked about his high hockey IQ and his ability he has the skills to do what his brain's telling him to do, and that seems to be really important with this team. They put a focus on that.
And you have to give credit to Kent Hughes in identifying this guy and rewarding him in a way that you're performing, you're contributing, you're doing what we're asking, so we're going to give you that contract. And he's making things happen when he has the opportunity. And who would have thought? I mean, we were questioning because I didn't know him from anybody, and he's been very, very positive in the lineup, and he's brought some good things to the group. So congratulations to him. Keep it going. Now we're getting into the crunch time, and we're going to see push comes to shove, just how everybody's going to respond to even more pressure situations as they get down to the final stretch in the playoff run.
Knuckles, one player who has been struggling after getting off to a really good start this season, his first season with the Canadiens, is Zachary Bolduc. With more healthy guys coming back, would sending him down to Laval in the AHL be a good move for him, do you think, at this point? Or is he better off staying here and Canadiens having patience with him like they've had with Slavkovsky and some of the other young guys?
Well, listen, he sent Abba down. Has he struggled? Come out like a house of fire. He had the adrenaline going. I like him. He certainly he doesn't shy away from the rough stuff and physical stuff, and it's just I don't know. He struggled to put the points up. There's no question, but would a stint down there give him some confidence? Go down there and score some goals, and also maybe get his mind right and help him. Listen, always that thing, you're going to go down there, you get sent down, you're probably bummed out, you've got the lip going for a bit, and then you realize, listen, I got to get my shit together and get my ass in gear. I want to get back to Montreal. So it wouldn't be the worst thing for him. I don't know if they're going to do that. We'll see, but I think it could help him.
Well, many tough to start. Go ahead, Ricky. Look like you have
I was just going to say, he's got to play. He's got to get ice time. That's the only way that these guys are going to be allowed to show whether they can handle themselves. And if it means going down to Laval, go down to Laval, do some great things down there, and you'll earn your spot back up with the big club. But you got to play. And young guys, they have to develop their skill set, and if that's what it takes, then you do it.
Well, as Marty St. Louis said after a Wild game, he's got a lot of tough decisions to make. That's why they pay him the money they pay him. And it's a good situation for the Canadiens because that means they have a lot of depth and a lot of players that can fit into the lineup. Anyway, that's it for this week's Hockey Inside Out show. Hope you all enjoyed it. The Canadiens are back in action Thursday night at the Bell Center against the Buffalo Sabres and then travel to Boston to play the Bruins Saturday night. That's always fun. We'll have 3 Hockey Inside Out show bonus episodes coming up over the next few days, so you can look for those. And Hockey Inside Out is also available now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And another reminder, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel.